Hello and welcome back to the Hands-on IT podcast. As always, I'm your host, Landon Miles, and whether you're knee-deep in endpoint management or planning your next major IT initiative, we're here to help you tackle the practical challenges of IT one episode at a time. So this podcast is part of Automox's Autonomous IT Podcast Network, and new episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday, so don't forget to subscribe to this podcast or follow us on YouTube so you never miss an episode. Today, we are talking about an age-old challenge for IT professionals working effectively with executive leadership teams, also known as asking to buy things. It's a critical part of being in IT, but not one that a lot of people enjoy. IT is the intersection of technology and people, and most of us are in IT because technology comes very easily to us. So this podcast will be a quick guide of how to work with your company's leadership team. Now, execs and IT teams often want the same thing, a secure, streamlined, and highly productive operation that drives the business forward. But here's the thing, we approach problems from completely different perspectives. It's not enough to just know that your solution is right or that the project is necessary. If you want buy-in, you've got to speak their language. So think of this as translating IT into the language of strategy. Most C-suite executives are not focused on the fine details of system updates or patch schedules. They're thinking of the big picture, growth, risk, costs, and outcomes. So here's how you can adjust your approach to land your message effectively while staying true to the technical realities of your job. So you know how when you're talking to the finance department or sales or any other department and they start using their terminology and your brain pops into a bit of a different place for a few seconds. Well, the same thing happens to those departments when we as IT professionals go into deep technical details. So to get around this, we need to speak their language and become outcome oriented. So instead of focusing on the technical details, frame your project in terms of how they support and drive the business forward. So use metrics and data to demonstrate the impact your solutions will have on operations, productivity, and growth. So the next thing you can do is highlight any risks and implications that you see that your solution will solve. So executives are ultimately responsible for mitigating risks and ensuring compliance. So speak to them in their language by clearly outlining potential risks associated with not implementing certain IT solutions or updates, and help them understand that IT goes beyond just technology. It's about protecting the company's assets also. Next, you can connect IT investments to business outcomes. So rather than simply asking for a budget to implement new tools or systems, quantify everything that you can. Executives deal in numbers, so speak to them with clear metrics that tie back to risk or opportunity. Once you're speaking their language, step one is to clearly relay the problem. When presenting a new IT project or solution, it's really important to clearly communicate the problem that you're trying to solve. Use data or real-life examples to paint a picture of the current state and why it needs improvement. This will not only help executives understand the need for action, but also build credibility for your expertise. Next, you'll want to understand the impact to the business at large. So if we don't do anything with this project, what happens? If we implement it, what are the benefits? What's the downtime and the costs associated? And then don't bury the lead. So hit the big points first. Let's jump back to your help desk days for a second. If you're solving someone else's problem, the more info they give you up front, the better. This is about relaying the why we're doing something first, and then not just a rundown of everything you know about the problem or how the technical implementation would work. So step two is prepare some options. So present multiple well thought out options that allow leaders to feel like they have some control over the decision-making process. Rather than pushing a single solution, 3 options, outlining the pros, cons, and associated cost of each is a great idea. I always recommend the following format: minimum viable solution, full solution, and the do nothing option. You're going to break down each option clearly. For example, if it's about updating or upgrading a critical system, you could present the options such as the minimal upgrade, as we could perform a partial upgrade to our existing system to address the most immediate risks. This has a lower upfront cost, of X amount of dollars, but it's a temporary fix, and we would likely need to do a full replacement of this system within the next year or so. The full solution would be a full system replacement would cost X dollars, but would eliminate all of these risks entirely and future-proof our operations for the next X number of years. This can be rolled out over a period of so many months to spread out the cost. And then the last option is the do nothing option. So doing nothing is always an option, even if it's a really bad one. But addressing this lets them know that you've thought through the solution. So it would go something like this. We could continue without action. There's no cost today, but the risks of downtime, security incidents, or increased maintenance grow exponentially over time. This option carries the greatest level of risks to operational continuity. Once you lay those options out, make it easy for them to compare them. Use clear visual formats like tables or infographics when presenting options, and highlight critical factors such as cost, risk, downtime, return on investment, and operational impact. Executives are often juggling multiple priorities, just like you are. So help them see the decision clearly and concisely. Help them see their options clearly. Now, step 3 is be solution driven. No matter the complexity or severity of the problem, frame the conversation around solutions. Always try to present problems with a viable path forward. Even if the solution is resource intensive, show that you've done the legwork to make the implementation as smooth as possible. This means being ready to address questions like how long will it take to see results, or what internal resources are required to support this, or even who needs to be involved in this to ensure success. A solutions-oriented mindset positions you as a problem solver rather than just the bearer of bad news, earning leadership's trust and confidence. Be transparent about limitations or challenges and avoid overpromising. Also, be open to feedback of others' ideas. It's the executive team's job to make informed decisions, so don't be offended if they ask for more information or a bunch of questions. Lastly, anticipate those questions. It's not just about what you say, it's about what they'll ask back. The goal is to bring a well-researched, well-thought-out ask and solution along with a mitigation strategy for identifiable risks. Common questions are, can we wait until this date for budget reasons? Or what happens if we don't do anything? Are there alternatives? Can it be done for cheaper? Why is this important just now? These are common questions that you should definitely be prepared for. Now, if there are questions that come up that you genuinely don't know the answer to, you can respond with, I don't have that data right now, but I can get back to you with an answer on that shortly. And that's a perfectly acceptable answer. So here's the checklist for working with executive leadership teams. Number 1, speak their language. Use metrics, business outcomes, and plain language. Don't get overly technical unless they ask. Relay the problem clearly, define the stakes, and use analogies or real-world examples if necessary. Number 3, give some options. Lay out what you need, why it matters, and how you'll deliver it. And finally, prepare for follow-up. So anticipate those tough but fair questions, and the stronger your prep, the smoother this pitch will go. Now, pro tip is if you find yourself struggling with putting this together, go make a friend in the sales department, because this is what they do every day. Ask for some feedback, ask for some help, and they can help you out, and you'll learn a new skill also. So IT isn't just about technology, it's about communication too. Executives are just people. You've got this. And when you master this, you're not just the IT person, you're a business ally that's deeply embedded in the success of your organization. So if you found today's episode helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Find me on LinkedIn or drop into the AutoMox community and tell me about the challenges you faced when working with leadership teams and how you're solving them. So that's all we have for this episode. As always, I'm Landon Miles. This is Hands-On IT, and thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.